Hey there, tech fans. Rick here again from Drone Valley. Today, I have the AV Access 2 input, 1 output DisplayPort dual monitor switch with KVM functionality. This single product provides a lot of technology in a really small package, and I'll explain that in a few minutes. But just for starters, it fully supports 8K content at up to 30 frames a second, as well as 4K content at both 120 and 60 frames a second, and it's both DP 1.4a as well as HDCP 2.2 compliant, so you know it's going to be plug-and-play compatible with all of your modern media gear. Now, before I get too deep into the technology behind it, I always like to start with a quick unboxing just to show you everything that's included with the kit. And boy, you have pretty much everything you need to use this right out of the box. And then I'll take a closer look at the unit and I'll explain the connections and indicators so you understand exactly how to use it. And then I'll do a quick demonstration to show you just how easy this product will be to use with your own equipment. And I'll come back at the end and point out a few things that really separate this particular KVM switch from other products you may be considering. So let's get started with the unboxing. When you first pop open the box, you'll find the unit. You'll find a single 5-volt, 2-amp DC power supply. You can simply plug this into any wall outlet. The other end of the cable has a barrel connection on it with a locking collar, and that plugs directly into the back of the unit and provides all the power you'll need for operation. The kit also includes 6 DP 1.4a cables. So these are high quality cables you can use to connect your computers up and connect up your monitors. You'll also find 2 USB cables because the KVM functionality of this requires a connection to your computer so your mouse and your keyboard and other features in that computer can work well, and they include that cable as well. You'll also find an infrared remote control. Now, normally this will be on your desk so you can tap a button to move between your computers, but if you want to set this up on a media center or you're far away from the switch, it's really nice to have a remote control that you can use to make those selections. And finally, a full instruction manual is also included that lists connection diagrams, specifications, and a lot of other really good information about the product that you'll need to understand in order to use it correctly. Now, if you stay tuned next, I'll take that closer look at the unit, I'll do the demonstration, and then I'll come back with a few final thoughts about why this product is special and why it's different than others you may be considering. The AV Access KVM switch features an all-metal enclosure which makes it incredibly durable and really a great choice for both commercial and residential installations. On the bottom of the unit you'll find 4 rubber feet that help to protect the surface you set it down on and keep it from sliding around during operation. You'll also notice mounting holes on the bottom that can be used with a bracketing kit to mount this up off the ground and out of the way. You'll also find ventilation slots on the bottom that are designed to let any heat that develops during operation escape and keep the electronics inside at a comfortable temperature. On the front of the unit, starting on the left, you'll find a power switch. You can use that to turn the unit on and off by simply tapping that switch once power has been applied. To the right of that is a selector switch that allows you to choose which input is currently being sent to your output monitors, and you can tap that switch to move between the two. There's also an LED underneath each of these numbers indicating which input is currently active. To the right of that are 2 full-sized USB-A ports, and these can be used for a keyboard and a mouse or other peripherals. The first one is a USB 1.1 compliant port, and the second one is a USB 2.0 compliant port. To the right of that is an infrared receiver window, and that's used in conjunction with the remote control. That's where the signals from that infrared remote are picked up. So when you set this up on your desktop or on a computer stand, make sure that window is visible if you're using that remote control. To the right of that are 2 more 3.5mm ports. This one is for a microphone and this one is for headphones. If you choose to use a microphone, you can plug it in right there. Same thing for the headphones. And to the right of that are 3 more full-sized USB-A ports for peripheral connections. The first 2 can provide 1 amp of current to external devices, and the third one on the right can provide 1.5 amps. All 3 of these are USB 3.0, which is a high-speed port. On the rear of the units where you'll make all your connections, on the left-hand side you'll find a power port. That's used with the included power supply. You'll simply plug that power supply into a wall outlet. The other end of the cable has a barrel connection on it with a locking collar. Simply plug it in there and finger tighten that collar. To the right of that are 2 collections of ports labeled host 1 and host 2. These are connections you'll make to a local computer, and you can use the DisplayPort connection for the video and a USB cable to make the connection to the computer for control of the mouse and the keyboard. Same thing for USB host 2. And then finally, to the right of that are 2 more display ports, one for monitor A and one for monitor B. And this is where you'll connect up your monitors that you'd like to enjoy the content from either one of these computers. And all the way to the right is a micro USB port that's used for updating the firmware on the unit if needed later on. You'll simply connect that to your computer, move the firmware file to the product to complete that upgrade. And that's pretty much all you need to know about the unit. Now I'll show you just how easy it'll be to use this product with your own equipment. And for this demonstration, over here I've set up two small mini PCs as my input devices, and over here I've set up two monitors as my output devices, and both of these are DisplayPort capable. In front of me, I have the AV Access KVM switch. Now the first set of connections I'll make are from the computers to the switch, and I'll start with the first PC. And there are three connections from that PC to the switch. Two of them are DisplayPort for the video, and one is a USB connection to enable the KVM functionality. And I'll plug these into input number 1, input number 2 for that first PC, and finally the USB connection. And now we're ready to connect up the second computer. I've got three cables coming from that. Again, two display ports and a USB. And I'll plug those into port 1, port 2, and USB for that second PC. And now we're ready to connect up the monitors. I have two DisplayPort cables connected to those, and I'll plug those into the DisplayPort output on the back of the switch. And once those are connected, I can add power. Now I've already plugged in the power supply. There's a single power supply to operate the unit. The other end of the cable from that power supply has a barrel connection on it with a locking collar. Simply plug that into the DC input port on the back of the switch and tighten that collar just finger tight. And it takes a second to recognize that both computers are connected and also that the monitors are connected. And it's checking the resolution of both sets of devices to give you the best possible picture on the output. And it takes a second to do that. Power's already on and it's on computer number 1. So we'll wait a second for that to come up. Let me switch it to computer number 2. And it'll switch over there. Now to use the keyboard and mouse, I'm using a wireless setup over here. So I'll use a wireless dongle to make that connection, and I'll plug that into one of the USB ports on the front. All right, there's laptop number 2 coming up. And if I want to switch back to laptop number 1, I'll tap that button and laptop number 1 should come up. Now it may have gone to sleep because I haven't touched it, but let me tap the space bar here to wake it up. There it is, laptop number 1. Now already you can see the keyboard's working. The mouse is working as well, so I can move the mouse around and you can see the mouse move on both of those screens. And again, the nice part here is I'm actually extending the desktop across these two monitors, which greatly increases my screen real estate. And the nice thing as well is that any peripheral that's plugged in here will switch to the computer you move to. So for example, the keyboard and mouse is on laptop number 1. If I tap that, it'll move to laptop number 2, and both of these will work on laptop number 2. It's the same for the USB ports on the front. If you plug in a camera or a microphone or an external hard drive, those will switch between the computers as well. And it really is just that easy to get it working. I hope that closer look and demonstration were helpful. Now here are a few really important things to keep in mind when you're comparing this particular AV Access product with others you may be considering. The first thing has to do with the resolution. This product fully supports resolutions all the way up to 8K at 30 frames a second, including 4K at 120 and 60 frames a second. And the reason that's important is because a lot of other KVM switches on the market may only support 4K content, or they may limit your resolution to 1080p. So knowing you have a product that can support a higher resolution at a higher frame rate means you can use this with the computers you have today and the computers you're going to buy tomorrow and not have to worry about upgrading your switch. Another really nice thing is the inclusion of the cables. And I know that seems like a small thing, but the unit itself needs these cables to operate. And if you just find a unit on the market, you'll still have to go out and acquire the cables needed to connect it to your gear. So the fact that AV Access is including all the cables you'll need means right out of the box you can plug this into your two computers, plug it into your DisplayPort monitors, and just start using it. I really like the fact that they've included the remote control, which is something a lot of other KVM switches may not include. And the reason I like that is because even though I may have this on my desk to switch between computers, a lot of us are using small PCs or media players on our media center to actually switch between. So for streaming movies, or maybe we're downloading things, it's pretty far away from you on that media center. So having a remote control that allows me to switch between devices from a distance away is a really nice feature. Pretty much everything you need to get started right out of the box is included, and with a few simple connections, you can be up and running in no time. So I hope you found this review helpful. I like this product an awful lot. Thanks again for watching.